In this video, we're going to take a look at how chords in a circle relate to the arcs of a circle. So first off, we have a theorem about congruence. If we have a circle and we're looking at minor arcs, it turns out that the chords creating those arcs have to be congruent if the arcs are congruent. And conversely, if the arcs are congruent, that makes the chords congruent. So that's what we call an if and only if statement there. So the way that that would look in two parts is if chord FG is congruent to chord JH, then arc FG is congruent to arc JH. So one of them is about line segments, the other one is about arc measures. And the other direction of the cause and effect is also true. If the arcs are congruent, so if arc FG is congruent to arc JH, that causes chord FG to be congruent to chord JH. So again, that's why we do the if and only if. That just means the cause-effect relationship goes both directions. So that's the first relationship among chords and arcs. Next, we have one about chords and diameters. So if you have a diameter, like here, diameter AB, if that diameter, or for that matter, radius, like CB, if that is perpendicular to any chord in your circle, it automatically bisects that chord. So in this case, since your diameter is perpendicular to chord XY, that means that XZ has to be congruent to ZY. So a really common trick that we're going to use with these types of scenarios is using Pythagorean theorem. Like we might connect C to X, and then we have a right triangle, or really anything discussed in chapter 8 might show up with these types of problems. The last one has to do with just chords and their distance from the center. So if you have a circle, two chords are congruent if and only if, so the cause effect goes in both directions again. They are equidistant from the center. So if chord FG is congruent to chord JH, automatically the distance from the center to chord FG is the same as the distance from the center to chord JH. So just remember that the way that we measure distance from a point, like a center, to a segment, like a chord, is drawing that perpendicular. So if FG is congruent to JH, then LX has to be congruent to LY. So the cause effect can also go in the other direction. If LX and LY are congruent, that will cause FG and JH to be congruent. So that's pretty much it for 10.3, but as you know, we're going to see a whole lot of different equations to set up, and we're going to see these mixed and matched, and also referencing back to techniques discussed in chapter 8 and 6 and 4 and all of that good stuff.